Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Hey everybody, welcome to Squirrel. This is Jody.
This is Candace.
And I haven't messed up an intro all day.
Good for you.
I'm so proud of myself.
That is an accomplishment for sure.
We're building our writing chemistry between us.
We're just
okay, that
right
joke's
into
going to fall flat. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about writing chemistry, specifically building authentic relationships between characters. I think this is going to be super fun because it was Valentine's Day a couple days ago. It's a perfect time to talk about character relationships, and in this case, how to make them feel more authentic and true to life. Because I think many beginning writers really struggle with writing relationships because they try to make them perfect.
Yeah.
Try to make everything about the relation just so shiny and perfect. And it's really easy to see why. Because everyone wants a perfect relationship, where nothing ever goes wrong. But the truth is, relationships are complicated. And so that should be reflected in your writing too. What do you feel about chemistry? I'm just curious on your overall take before we dive in.
On chemistry of people?
Well, yes. Sorry, this wasn't on the outline.
You put me on the spot. On character chemistry or just chemistry in general?
I was just seeing if you had anything else to add to the intro before we dived in.
Apparently not.
Perfect. Moving on. All right. So our first point we want to talk about is the importance of having a shared experience or history between your characters. So if you think about any relationship, there's always some kind of personal history that will influence what each person will bring to the table. So if you have these characters, they have lived an entire separate life before meeting their significant other. This should play into how they interact with this new relationship. So like famously in ACOTAR, and this is A Court of Thorns and Roses, Feyre, who's the main character, she's brought up in a situation in her home where she has a lot of emotional baggage from it.
Yeah.
Okay. She's not particularly treated well. She feels like there's a lot of unfairness. She has a really hard time trusting. She very much brings that baggage to the table when she starts meeting these other people in her life. These other suitors. These fairies.
In the same vein as character chemistry, I look to not just the romance, but for me, it's all about situational comedy, right? So if we look at like Han and Leia, they have intense chemistry, they have history, they have a battle between each other when it comes to, I don't know, there's
a give and take, definitely. They're not just happy and they don't get along the whole time. They antagonize each other.
Yes, and I think that is really fun to explore when you're looking at chemistry, is the hidden back part relationships that when they butt heads or they're antagonistic toward each other. I think that also brings a lot of chemistry. We look at like Darcy and Elizabeth, right? They're constantly at each other, but you can see the chemistry between the two just by the way they interact with not even really saying anything.
So famously, and you use the example of Han and Leia, which I love. Now you have to remember stereotypes here. Leia was a princess and Han was a smuggler. And so you can see them playing that expectation off each other, where she thinks that he's a no good, dirty, rotten something, and he thinks that she's acting like she's too good for everybody.
Yeah.
And you see that constantly as they butt heads.
There's different perspectives
they have
between
completely different life experiences and perspectives.
Yes. And I think that's a lot, really gives you a great playground to to dive into when you're looking at the history of your characters. So.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why having a history is so important. Like, they had a life before they stepped on the page. It should definitely show up.
So then let's move into the conflict and resolution part then.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm not a hugger, and I'm not an openly expressive communicator when it comes to like love and relationships. I might be the kind of person that would rather write things in a note than talk to somebody face to face. There are people like us, right? I think these are like honest reactions that I don't see as much as I would like in characters. These not wanting to divulge what you know, openly, but as a reader, I want it. I want them to get to that point. But by not disclosing that, I feel that there is these, I don't know, quiet moments of reflection. So I think looking at the reality of what your characters would do in that specific situation is kind of important. So how you handle like expressing their love, maybe that chemical reaction that actually would bind them together. Am I making sense?
So you're talking personality types and how they could clash.
Sure.
Like maybe one character is very internal with their thoughts and feelings, and their partner's perhaps very external. The external person's going to have this expectation of them saying how they feel, saying, I love you, I like things about you. But the internal person's like, I don't do that. Mm-hmm. But at the other, the flip of the coin is the external person's going to be saying it constantly. And the internal person's going to be like, cringe, like, stop it. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it when you just kind of say it out in public. I don't like that kind of attention. Yeah. That's conflict, where eventually they have to learn what each other likes and tailor their expectations and either grow and learn from it, or have a couple, down and out arguments saying, hey, I don't like this. No. It's having couples fight, but in a way that feels realistic. Like personalities do clash. The thing I don't like in conflict, and young writers will do this quite often, is that they'll have a big fight, but then they'll instantly forgive each other in the next chapter and everything's hunky-dory for the rest of the story. But realistic relationships take a lot of time to heal from disagreements and arguments, especially if it's about something important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if somebody didn't get their way. So if you're putting these characters through these hard problems that they have to solve together, it really makes more sense for them not to see eye to eye for a while afterwards, and maybe bring it up later, being like, yeah, and that time when you blah, blah, blah. And I still don't know why you would ever do that. Like, there's always going to be these lingering little pockets of resentment that can pop back into it. And that's really realistic. Like, think of your own relationships when, something from like 10 years ago pops back up again. And it's stupid and it's petty, but it happens.
Yeah. And
real people do that.
Yeah.
And this brings us beautifully into our next point, which is talking about contrasting personalities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a perfect example of this in my life, actually, because I don't know how my parents got together. They are so absolutely, completely opposite. My mom is a very rock and roll type person. She loves dancing. She loves rock and roll. My dad he grew up watching Lawrence Welk. His dad would play the organ. I mean, he still knows nothing about popular music at all. It's just not even in his register. The fact that they complement each other because of their differences is amazing. I love seeing that kind of reaction and those kind of differences as characters. If I could see more of that, I would just eat it up. I love that.
Well, and it's fun seeing opposites attract. I mean, in Good Omens, and I know this wasn't a romantic relationship per se, but Aziraphale and Crowley, like, they're opposites. One's a angel, one's a demon. Like, and it's so fun to see them seeing eye to eye on specific things and making jabs at each other and working together. Like, it's fun to have these contrasting personalities. And in fact, again, beginning writers will make their partner, like these relationships, they'll make each person almost identical to each other. Like, oh, she likes football, he likes football, they love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop.
No,
stop.
That's so boring.
I mean, sometimes, like, usually they'll have something in common. Like, I'm a geek, my husband's a big geek. It's perfect.
Yeah.
We geek out together. We're both sciencey people. It's great. He's a massive extrovert and I am an introvert. He drains my batteries faster than any human on this planet. Because he wants to go and do things, and his idea of relaxing is going out and like taking long drives just to get out and seeing stuff. And my idea of relaxing is completely the opposite. Mm-hmm. But it's having these contrasting personalities that kind of you can use them to each other's benefit, because when I need to do stuff out and with people, I can kind of draw on his energy. And if he's locked home in a snowstorm, he can draw on mine.
Well, and let's just mention this comedy duo that we're doing right now.
Oh dear.
We are just so opposite. But I think that the
Candy's the yin to my yang.
I wouldn't say that specifically.
No. That's too far.
No, yeah, but I think that we both have specific dynamics in and how we reflect off of each other makes it really good. Like, we have a really good chemistry there with how we both look at things differently and the interactions that we have. So, and I know I'm an extrovert for sure. Uh-huh. And
my little social butterfly. Which is great, because when we booth together, I want to hide behind the booth because that is my safe spot.
And I'm like going around.
And Kenny's like, I want to...
Let's talk to everybody.
Go across and talk to people.
Let's do all these things.
That's great.
Let's meet all of
happy.
Our neighbors.
I'm so happy staying behind the booth for the entire con.
No, but I think what we've got it makes it pretty awesome. So authenticity, though. So authenticity
versus perfection.
Versus perfection.
So, yeah. What are your thoughts on this?
I really need characters that are relatable, and that would mean they would have flaws. Like, I love flawed characters.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not a perfect person. I don't specifically identify with many of the stereotypes that I have been associated with. And I like being quirky. I love quirky characters. So I want to see those flaws and those mistakes. These are more identifiable for me as a reader, these quirks and this imperfection. So,
I mean, characters that have interesting little tidbits that make them different than everyone else, that's what you remember. I mean, going back to Good Omens, there's the Witchfinder general who really liked eating condensed milk.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Why? Of all the things I could remember about him, that stood out, which is odd. Because there's so many other really bizarre stuff you could pull out. But he literally will have cans of condensed milk, just eat them.
Yeah.
So I love a character that is real, just like you were saying. And so my biggest pet peeve is when we try to make these two perfect couples that everything about them is perfect and everyone is super happy and there's no problems. Characters, it's just the second I start seeing that, it starts, I want to shut the book. I'm like, I don't need to read this character because clearly there's nothing wrong. There's no conflict.
I really love it when there are specific external issues. If there's some kind of scar or, they're not the perfect ideal looking person. When somebody falls for them, oh, geez, I love those kind of stories. I can think of, we were talking about Bridgerton earlier. And so if we look
None
at
of those characters are visually flawed. They're all beautiful. They're so gorgeous. Sorry,
what's her face? The feather down.
Oh, Penelope.
Yes,
she's
Penelope.
Adorable.
She is adorable.
She definitely isn't like the other women.
Follow the same molds as the rest of the characters.
Well, same with Eloise.
Yes, true.
They both have a lot of, we don't want to fit in with what they expect women to be in this society. We want to be different, which is what makes them fascinating to follow because they're bucking the trend and they're so annoyed at these vapid women that they have to spend time with at the ball. Sorry, I just finished season 3 2 days ago. I'm so excited about it.
That's good. Yes. Yep. You know what I mean then. So
Oh, yeah.
I love seeing those kind of characters succeed in finding that perfect
Well, and
chemical
having
reaction.
smarts win always will get my vote. I
Mm-hmm.
love it when smart people do smart things to win over the people who are just too pretty.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So that brings us to our next point, which is talking about the importance of growth and change. So I think anyone who spends a significant time with someone else, they start influencing each other for good or for bad. And like, I think we see this quite often, like, especially in these big dramatic books where one character has a lot of growing they need to do. And we can go back to Akotar, where Feyre starts as kind of this like this character that refuses to trust. I'm like, honey, you're with a prince in a really pretty house and they're going to feed you whatever you want and you can just paint and do whatever you like. And she's like, no, I can't stand this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it. I'm just like, oh, my introverted soul is not liking where you're going with that. Why won't you be happy? And she like, she needed to grow because she needed to be able to trust, because then the whole relationship with suitor number B, uh, not Tamlin.
No spoiler.
Sorry. If you're only on book 1 and you're planning on reading the rest of them, you're going to figure this out really
We're
quick.
going to stop right now.
I should stop right now.
All right. My growth and change has to do with chemistry itself.
Oh, good.
Yes. Let's just look at chemistry as growth and change, right? I see a lot of the definition of chemistry in that. Chemistry is reactions of things coming together, right? There is growth or change with these specific reactions, depending on what chemicals you throw in together. Some are explosive, some are toxic, some are also extremely useful. I can't help but go and reference chemistry here, just because, I mean, that's the episode. But in these relationships that are developing, these kind of reactions that we are seeking, how the characters become different because of their acceptance or experiences together is what I'm really the delicious part of finding that chemistry between characters. And so I need those kind of dynamics to see the change. I like to see the change. Anyway. Yeah.
So would you be vinegar or baking soda in our reaction?
I'm definitely baking soda.
You're the baking soda?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Don't you think so?
And I'm vinagre.
Of course you are. You're the
Let's make a volcano.
let's say like the, I don't know, stability. You look at the stability of vinegar.
It's highly useful. I can clean countertops.
Yes, extremely useful. And you
work
just
in the
throw
laundry.
like baking soda, just throw that on there and it explodes. Absolutely. I can totally see this exact thing. I am totally baking soda here.
All right.
For
My
sure.
alkaline friend.
Yep. For sure.
Oh, man. Sorry, I had to throw my own chemistry joke in there. So the last point that I want to talk about is something that I feel is really, really important. I didn't want to forget this, but doesn't really have anything to do with the previous point. And this is the importance of letting our characters show emotional vulnerability. I think in the beginning, most people are quite guarded in a relationship. And this could be because they've been hurt before, or this could be because they just don't know what to expect. But it's so beautiful to watch as these characters grow when they allow that emotional vulnerability to come out.
I find that there's nothing more touching in the entire world when I see raw, specific emotion coming from one of my characters, right? Somebody I'm watching or reading and whatever, where they are just raw and crying or exposing themselves in an emotional, specific way. I can't find, there's just so much power behind that. Even eye contact. Eye contact is so powerful. There are many times when you just make eye contact with people and you can feel a electricity. It's some kind of energy because it's almost like you can see deep within them, just to let yourself expose the rawness of you by just eye contact.
So we watched the last half of the Hugh Jackman Les Miserables last night. And Hugh Jackman, I mean, can I not see him as Wolverine anywhere? No, he's going to always be Wolverine. But so if you remember about the last half an hour of Les Mis is him trying to leave because he doesn't want to risk the security that he has provided for his adoptive daughter Cosette and her relationship now with Marius. Like he's trying to just escape so that they can have this pure, beautiful life together without the threat of his past misdoings. And so he goes and he hides in this convent, and the last few moments are he singing the song Bring Him Home Again. And it is so heart on the sleeve, just emotional vulnerability there, because he knows he wasn't perfect. He knows he tried hard, and now he's ready to go home. And it's just this beautiful moment of, he's trying to say goodbye. He's trying to do the right thing. And so, yeah, I got a bit verklempt at that. Because, I mean, the whole thing is just an emotional powerhouse anyway. But having that vulnerability was really remarkable. And it's a good performance, too.
And my favorite, we talk about this, is Eddie Redmayne in Empty Chairs and Empty Tables.
Absolutely.
When he is just sobbing because he just lost all of his friends.
I mean, the perfect example of survivor's guilt.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, makes me cry every time. I'm starting to cry now.
Sorry, I didn't want to end this on a verklempt note. I should have put this point earlier.
So, yeah, I mean, I did want to mention, I mean, not that this is a big deal, but giving your characters like a visual reaction to something emotional is totally gravitating. I liked that I wrote that word.
Gravitate.
Gravitating. And those are the moments we always see, right?
It's what sticks with you. It's that gut punch of, oh my gosh, we're seeing who they really are. They've taken their guard down.
Yeah.
So, yay. Okay, I think writing an amazing relationship for your characters may take time, but you should spend that time because it's totally worth figuring out what makes them tick, what makes them leap off the page. Readers love a relatable character, and they love even more a relatable relationship between people, because that is what makes life worth living, is how we connect to other people, how we connect to the things that we love. So having that reflected in fiction, like all the ooey gooey goodness is all right there, just ready and waiting to be just feasted upon.
Do you have a listener sign up for us?
I do have a listener assignment. So I want you to find a relationship in something that you've enjoyed reading recently. It doesn't have to be romance. It just needs to be two people that have grown close to each other as a friendship. If you want to do a romance, be my guest. But I want you to see how the author made that relationship feel real. I want you to find the different points they used, and you can use the ideas from what we've shared today to guide what you're looking for, but find how the author made it more real. That is my assignment for today.
Awesome. That's awesome.
All right. Are you ready to share what our next episode's about?
Sure. Share is a funny word. What I would like to do for our next episode is talk about fairy tale romance, and I call it the morning after. But it's basically, what do you think should happen to your characters, or do you think that they'll actually have a happy ending? So it's going to be fun. It's going to be kind of silly. So.
Oh, yeah. I came up with some things that you're going to be so annoyed with.
I love it. I'm already super excited. So.
Alrighty, a huge thanks for listening today. We got a bit emotionally vulnerable out there, but it was for a good cause.
Yes, it's authentic.
It was authentic. If you liked anything you heard, we do have a Patreon and a Buy Us a Coffee. If you haven't already, like and subscribe so you can stay keyed in on any of our new episodes or updates.
Definitely check out our blogs. They're always amusing and fun and have lots of cool tidbits in
struggle with that, did you?
Tidbits. Yes.
All right. This has been fun. Till next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer with Candace J. Thomas and Jody L. Milner. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone.
Hans is Hans.
Yes, this
Okay,
all
let
is
me
going
start
in the
that thought
trash.
again. Okay.